Hitler, Ascent, 1889 to 1939 by Volker Ullrich is an in-depth, meticulously researched biography that delves into the first half of Adolf Hitler's life, from his birth in 1889 up until the outbreak of World War II in 1939. The book offers a comprehensive exploration of Hitler's transformation from an obscure, struggling artist to one of history's most infamous dictators. Ullrich's work stands out for its focus on Hitler's personal traits and the socio-political context that allowed his rise, challenging existing narratives by providing new insights into the man behind the myth. 1. Early life and personality development. Ullrich begins with Hitler's birth in Braunau am Inn, Austria, highlighting his upbringing in a middle-class family dominated by his authoritarian father, Alois Hitler, and his more nurturing mother, Clara. The book describes Hitler's childhood as unremarkable, with no clear signs of the monstrous figure he would later become. Ullrich argues that while Hitler exhibited early signs of stubbornness and sensitivity, these traits were not extraordinary and could be found in many young men of his time. One of the key points Ullrich makes is the importance of Hitler's failure as an artist in Vienna. Rejected twice by the Academy of Fine Arts, Hitler's years in Vienna were marked by poverty and growing resentment. During this period, he was exposed to the virulent anti-Semitism that permeated Viennese politics, though Ullrich notes that Hitler's personal anti-Semitic views were still developing and not yet as radical as they would become later. Ullrich paints a picture of a man with limited social skills who struggled to form meaningful personal relationships. Hitler's time as a soldier during World War I, however, became a turning point. The war gave him a sense of purpose, and Germany's defeat deeply embittered him, laying the groundwork for his nationalist and anti-Semitic ideology. 2. The Munich years and political awakening. After World War I, Hitler found himself in Munich, a city rife with political upheaval. The collapse of the German Empire and the rise of leftist movements created an environment where radical ideologies flourished. Ullrich details how Hitler's oratory skills quickly caught the attention of the German Workers' Party, which he soon transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP. Ullrich highlights how Hitler's talent for public speaking became his most powerful weapon. His ability to connect with the frustrations and fears of ordinary Germans, coupled with his simplistic but emotionally charged rhetoric, allowed him to galvanize support. Ullrich also delves into Hitler's use of propaganda, particularly his manipulation of symbols like the swastika and slogans that resonated with nationalist sentiments. The failed beer hall putsch of 1923, in which Hitler attempted to overthrow the Weimar Republic, is presented as a pivotal moment. While the coup failed, Ullrich argues that Hitler's subsequent trial and imprisonment were instrumental in transforming him into a national figure. His time in prison allowed him to refine his ideas, which he laid out in Mein Kampf, and to rethink his strategy for gaining power, not through violent revolution, but through manipulation of democratic institutions. 3. The path to power, manipulation, and opportunism. Ullrich provides a detailed account of Hitler's political maneuvering throughout the 1920s and early 1930s. He emphasizes that Hitler's ascent was not inevitable, but was facilitated by a combination of political miscalculations, economic crises, and the weaknesses of the Weimar Republic. The Great Depression of 1929 played a significant role in destabilizing Germany, and Hitler capitalized on widespread unemployment and discontent. One of Ullrich's key contributions is his portrayal of Hitler as an opportunist who adapted his message to suit the political climate. While Hitler maintained his core beliefs, anti-Semitism, anti-communism, and nationalism, he was pragmatic in how he presented them to the public. Ullrich also explores how the conservative elites of Germany, including President Paul von Hindenburg and other influential figures, underestimated Hitler, believing they could control him once he was in power. The book describes the backroom deals and political intrigue that led to Hitler being appointed chancellor in January 1933. Ullrich dispels the notion that Hitler was a master strategist. Instead, he suggests that Hitler's rise was as much a result of the failures of his opponents as his own cunning. 4. Consolidation of power and the Nazi state. Once in power, Hitler wasted no time dismantling the democratic institutions of the Weimar Republic. Ullrich provides a chilling account of how the Reichstag fire in February 1933 was used as a pretext to pass the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended civil liberties and allowed for the arrest of political opponents. This was followed by the Enabling Act, which gave Hitler dictatorial powers. Ullrich examines Hitler's ability to consolidate power through a combination of legal manipulation, propaganda, and brutal repression. The Night of the Long Knives in 1934, during which Hitler purged the SA leadership and other political rivals, is presented as a key moment in his consolidation of power. By eliminating potential threats within his own party and securing the loyalty of the military, Hitler solidified his control over Germany. The book also explores the cult of personality that developed around Hitler. Ullrich emphasizes how propaganda, led by Joseph Goebbels, crafted an image of Hitler as the savior of Germany. This carefully curated persona masked Hitler's more mundane reality, a man who often avoided making direct decisions, instead allowing his subordinates to interpret his vague directives, leading to a chaotic and brutal governance style. Number 5. The Road to War. In the final chapters, Ullrich details Hitler's increasingly aggressive foreign policy. The reoccupation of the Rhineland in 1936, the annexation of Austria in 1938, Anschluss, and the Sudetenland crisis are presented as calculated moves that tested the limits of Britain and France's policy of appeasement. Ullrich argues that Hitler's success in these early territorial expansions emboldened him, reinforcing his belief in his own infallibility. The Munich Agreement of 1938, which allowed Hitler to annex the Sudetenland without facing military opposition, is portrayed as a key turning point. Ullrich suggests that this not only strengthened Hitler's resolve, but also demonstrated the weakness of the Western powers. The subsequent invasion of Czechoslovakia and the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with the Soviet Union set the stage for the invasion of Poland in 1939, which triggered World War II. Ullrich delves into Hitler's mindset during this period, portraying him as increasingly detached from reality and convinced of his own historical destiny. His disregard for diplomatic norms and underestimation of his enemies contributed to the catastrophic conflict that followed. Throughout Hitler, Ascent 1889 to 1939, Ullrich's portrayal of Hitler is nuanced and complex. He rejects the idea of Hitler as a political genius or an inevitable product of his time. Instead, Ullrich presents Hitler as a deeply flawed individual whose personal insecurities, opportunism, and ideological fanaticism intersected with a unique historical context that allowed his rise. Ullrich's biography is not just a study of Hitler, but also a reflection on the broader societal and political factors that enabled his ascent. The book serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of democratic institutions and the dangers of underestimating extremist ideologies. Ullrich's meticulous research and balanced analysis make this work an essential contribution to our understanding of one of history's darkest chapters. In conclusion, Hitler, Ascent 1889 to 1939 is a masterful biography that sheds new light on the formative years of Adolf Hitler and the complex web of factors that facilitated his rise to power. Ullrich's detailed narrative and insightful analysis offer readers a deeper understanding of both the man and the era, making it a critical work for anyone interested in the history of the 20th century.